You're listening to The People's Pitch, the official podcast of Minneapolis City Soccer Club, brought to you by FootballStadiumPrints.com. Let's start the show.
And as I talked about just a couple minutes ago, as Joe Watt stands over this one, he appears to be the one taking the penalty here. This is a huge confidence booster if you're a Duluth.
Worst case scenario for City right here.
And it stopped!
Yes!
And it stopped!
Totally
Matt
redeems
Elder.
himself.
Matt Elder redeeming himself. Oliver with the right foot. The shot of the goal!
Oliver!
And Justin Oliver will break the scoreless tie. And it is 1-0 Minneapolis City. Is Hutton now on the offense with the left foot. And it is now 2-0 Minneapolis City.
Good finish.
Nick Hutton taking his quick victory lap.
Vaxxed up and maxed out. This is the People's Pitch, the official podcast of NPSL North champion and clothing line that is Minneapolis City SC. Just like that, John, the season is ripping along and we are in soccer nirvana. I mean, it's great to be in the booth. It's great to be in the stands. It's great to be on the podcast. It's great to have life. I love my life. I love my house. I love
my soccer club.
Exactly. I love my cousins. Anyway, I am in my happy place, dude. And you have to be as well. Like this is what the whole year is for you, right? All that prep, 2 years worth of prep, basically, and all of a sudden it's all here and it's all washing over us.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm as energized as you because I look at the horizon of work that needs to be done and I'm like, oh God. But it's all in good faith, right? Because the soccer's here and it's so exciting and I'm super into it. And we have a super great show tonight.
Yes.
We have 4 huge topics, which are going to be pretty commonplace on the show for a little while.
Yeah, from here on out.
Same shit, different day, different team. We're going to recap the FC Minneapolis versus Minneapolis City 2 match. Nate will dive into the Fusion Minneapolis City match from last Friday. We'll talk a little bit about an Airs preview, playing something called the Brooklyn Knights. Sounds like a and one basketball team, but we're taking them on.
Featuring Sick with it.
Yeah. So lots of stuff to cover tonight. I believe Nate will do a little bit of a rundown too. That was your plan, right? To do a little bit of a rundown of the other matches throughout the league.
UPSL North.
Yeah, do a little run around. Yep. So let's do it, people. It's time to sex you up with some soccer talk. We played another match for Minneapolis City 2 as a okay, so game 2 with the fans calling us the mini murder. I like it, Nate, but I do feel like we could do better, right?
The mini murder? Yeah, it's not the best. I thought we had what we considered the better nickname for
the Rookery, I thought.
Rookery, and it for some reason it's like too highbrow for people.
I don't know. So maybe we'll just keep at the drawing board for a bit until we hit on that gold. I think this is the point in time where we challenge the listener. Like, let's come at us with some good nicknames. You guys are clever people. Anyhow, the team, after another full week of training and fresh off their first point in club history, we're back versus FC Minneapolis. We covered last week on the show. Before we dive into the roster sheet, it was another week with other bullshit, Nate. We were alerted on Thursday that the original game date was not possible for whatever reason. And the match was moved to still Osseo High School, but from a day perspective, we were told it was on Sunday instead of Saturday. So,
yeah,
lower league stuff. But it happened to be at Osseo, which is where the club's undefeated. So that's always good. Yeah, exactly.
The Browns of Osseo is, how much it's like. And I know these guys, these younger dudes, don't know the winning ways of Osseo, but still comfortable for the club to be able to walk into that stadium and know that this is a place that Minneapolis City wins. So you're expected to continue that streak, right?
Yeah, it's kind of that unwritten rule, right?
Like, don't be the guys that fuck this up.
Yeah, don't be the first team ever to lose at Osseo High School. So from a lineup perspective, Nate, we had some similar faces, some similar names. As far as in goal, Mitch Wolf making his second straight start. Connor Axos, Will Orser, Ethan Anderson, and Wes Lawrence were part of the back line. Scotty Heinen made his entry into the starting lineup, and Jake Simmons moved down from the NPSL team to get some minutes. Abdi Kadi in the defensive center midfield spot, Abai Habat, and then new man to the club, Derek Ullman, made the start up top with Josue Batule. From a bench perspective, Ben Schliemann was backing up Mitch, Nils Gilbrunson, McCrae Drong, Luke Lindsay, Aaron Olson, getting some rehab minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Adam King, Nick Sikowski, and Jacob Popkin. So what you're
Mike
starting
Wazowski.
to see... Nick Sikowski.
No.
So essentially, what you're seeing here, Nate, is a lot of new names kind of popping in here. You get McCrae Drong, the St. Thomas product who just transferred in from DePaul. You get Luke Lindsay, who's been kind of an ever-present member of the team since the U23 days. Adam King, the same. And then you're getting, a new player like Nick Sikowski, who's going into senior year at Augsburg. But then you have, old club captain Aaron Olson. So you're starting to see how we are integrating the squads even more.
Yeah, and I think we're just going to see more of it too as kids come back from school. I think MC2, like we mentioned last week, is really the team that is most affected by college players and springs. Yeah, so this will definitely be interesting to see what the team makeup becomes over the next couple weeks.
I'd say it's pretty standard that you're going to see about 4 players be coming down. That's what it was like in the first match. But also in this match, you're seeing some of those players drop it down as well. Not making the trip to lacrosse in the last match, and those guys being able to make the trip to Sioux Falls. Mm-hmm. So I would say the area that's going to get squeezed a little bit is the futures pipeline, but there's still going to be futures players involved. I mean, it's going to be hard to take off Jacob, Ben, or the Zach, the Lucy Susie off of this roster. But anyways, from the onset, it was patented city slow start again, Nate. I'm sorry to report, which one day we'll figure out. But in this case, if you're kind of looking at the makeup of the starting lineup, Coach Prunty deployed a 3-5-2 versus the typical club's 4-3-3. So you could tell it was taking
different.
them a little different. I mean, defensively it's similar, but from an attack perspective, it's similar to a 4-3-3. With getting your wingbacks higher, but anyways, they should be able to play it because they've been working on it. But it took them a while to kind of find and sort out their roles. And FC Minneapolis from like the first whistle was like 100% press. Like these guys had never like been told that a soccer game was 90 minutes. I mean, they were all over the place, and that caused fits for City. And that's what happened with the slow start. They kind of had to get into the game a little bit and figure out how to release that pressure. In the 7th minute, kind of a dumb City foul, just kind of leaving a leg stuck in, set up a free kick kind of on the far corner of the 18-yard box, about 25 yards out. And the set piece was whipped in rather quickly. And none other than the winged wizard himself, Captain Ian Cindy, beat Wes Lawrence to the short cross and redirected it past Mitch. And Mitch had no chance at it. It was a crowd of guys, and the ball just kind of came out of it. So once again, the Crows are down early in a half, Nate.
Yeah, the winged wizard. It's like a bad Spider-Man villain.
It's self-proclaimed, by the
way. Self-proclaimed. Hey, those are the best nicknames, right?
Yeah.
The ones. Yeah, I mean, tough to sucks because that's probably the one guy that you don't want scoring on us just for pride's sake. But at the same time,
it was a decent goal.
Yeah, good goal. Really, really smart to take a quick free kick like that. And well, you got to be ready for that. That's a learning experience for these younger guys.
Especially because the first half wasn't starting out great for them. Like it was kind of the gut punch, but that was the wake up call that they needed to get back on the front foot. And they tried to be patient on the ball. We saw that against Inter, like trying to combine. putting the ball in the deck, some great sequences of passing that sprung new man Derek Ullman 1v1, but a quick leave the line type goalkeeper. This guy shot out like a rocket and closed down really quickly, and Derek's kind of window of opportunity also shut. So the shot went just far of the near post. But the fireworks really kicked off in the 25th minute, where midfielder Jake Simmons, also making his club debut, like I mentioned, dropping down from the NPSL team, was just absolutely destroyed on a 50-50 ball.
What?
And I mean, it was everyone else, I think, thought it was a red card. I mean, it was that bad. And Jake went down like super hard and did not get back up. So it ended up not being a straight red. It was deemed to be a slice of cheddar, I believe you call it, Nate.
As we say.
So Jake was in need of an early sub, 25 minutes in the game. Now you're playing even more out of whack. But yeah, he was unable to return.
That sucks.
I haven't seen him this week. I know he was getting x-rays. So it was bad. And like I said, everyone else kind of thought it was straight red. And even the guys in FC Minneapolis kind of looked like they got quiet after that one. Like, but anyways, Jacob Hopkin enters the fray. And once again, this conference is showing us two things, Nate. The direct style of play is very much there. And then like the physical meaty challenges. So the boys are going to have to like sort it out and expect these things. And I think that'll help not compound the early start, because everything's kind of felt like crazy right away. But 10 minutes later, just after the half-hour mark, our man of the match from last week, Connor Axos, stepped up to take a long free kick with that left foot and whipped it up into the big bodies. Ethan Anderson was up from a center back spot. He ditched his mark pretty easily and was able to nod home the equalizer. And that truly then fully injected life into the team. Like the wake-up call was getting scored on, but like this one really charged them up. And especially like pretty close to the half. But things never quite materialized. Not a lot of good chances to end the half. And FC Minneapolis just kept going direct, but they also never really created anything dangerous outside of the goal. So at the half, the changes started kind of flying in for Pronti. He took off Ullman and Abdi Kadi. Their days were done, and McCrae Drong, like I mentioned, from St. Thomas, entered the fray, as did the debut of returner right back and third-year returner Luke Lindsay. So with these new guys in, it did spark some things, and it created kind of the lion's share of the chances. They started to be created, but there was really nothing of substance at that point. Kind of some half chances. Passing sequences seemed to kind of fall flat, and final balls for the second week weren't kind of connected. But again, it was kind of a tough, choppy, like every 5 minutes there's a foul, and it's pretty tough on the road, especially to sort all that out. So the last bits of changes saw the ever so popular goalkeeper substitution, where Ben Schliemann made his debut. The Futures call-up replaced Mitch Wolf in net, and attackers Adam King, Nils came on, and Prunty did what he did in game one. He's like, we're gonna go for it. We're not gonna.
Where does Ben usually play, or where does he play his college or high school ball?
He is he's all over the place, man. He's at Futures. He's at Fusion. He went to high school at Washburn. He graduated this year, so he'll be going into college at, I believe, Western Illinois. And he also was called in and made the Minnesota United MLS's next team. So he was on the team that our Futures ended up beating 3-2 last week. So he's a man about town. But he's getting his first real minutes of substance in the UPSL as a teenager, which is always great to see. And then striker, like I mentioned, Adam King and Nils Gilbranson came on, and Prunty really was looking to go on the front foot, and the changes paid off. A nice entry pass from Luke Lindsay into Nils kind of brought both center backs with him as he checked too, and it left like a massive wake behind him that was onside, and he just did like a one-time flick past the two center backs into Adam King, and he was all alone, took a nice first touch and slided home a real easy finish, and that's where the scoreline ended, 2-1 to the good guys. 3 points on the road, so that's good.
That's nice. And Nils is a big dude, so like if he, I think he's going to draw at least one, if not both center backs when he's making a dangerous run, or at least looking to make some waves in the box. So that's a good use for him, at least late in the game.
If I'm on the field and I'm defending this Minneapolis City 2 team for like 60 to 80 minutes, and all of a sudden, like the striker that I was chasing around all day turns into like 6'5", like 200 pounds of muscle, I'm like, God damn it. So, like I got to now battle with this tree trunk. So it's definitely an advantage, I believe, for within this league to have Nils be able to anchor a front line. Josue and Derek aren't small guys either, but Nils is he adds an element of speed to his already huge frame. And, if he could put it together, I could see him, starting to grow into the team a little bit more here and ultimately maybe picking up some starting minutes.
Yeah, because Nils has been around for a while. It's just a matter of let's see some goals.
But he also came to us when he was 18. So it's like,
that's true.
Being around for a while in our club means you're 24.
That's fair.
So yeah, keys to victory. So number 1 was another week of training will help. I think it helped get more pieces on the board for Prunty to use. But it was kind of the same, like we said, slow start, and it took another kind of kick in the ass to get the boys' engines going again. I still feel there's more to be added to the cupboard this week. The guys I know that are coming in that'll be available for next match, which we'll talk about the next match in a little bit. But I think another week did help, and it's going to help the rest of the summer. So not a bad job there, even though with that slow start. Number 2, staying with the process. The style of play was there. The guys really tried to combine and were patient with their passing, which really did tire FC Minneapolis out, considering their start was so fast, defensively pressuring, total balls to the walls, chasing all over the place. But it quickly emptied them out, and they had nothing left, and that opened things up for City. And I think where things went different from staying with the process is the formation shift, obviously from 2 to 3-5-2. But it was a good experiment to try. And, the talent is there, and it's an opportunity for them to have another look they can throw at people. So I thought that was a good deviation. Number 3.
What are the benefits of switching to a formation like 3-5-2 over 4-3-3? Is it personnel based?
It is a little. Obviously it's personnel based, but also from like a tactical advantage. You're getting guys in theory at a wingback position that are really just high motor 1v1 type wingers that will track back and will defend. So you're getting more people with quote unquote like foot skills up into the attack to try to combine better. And with our passing style of play, if done correctly, the 3-5-2 is perfect for it. If done incorrectly, then you get nicked on the counters, and you start to like see the stupid fouls and that lead to free kicks like happened in this past game. So a couple different advantages, disadvantages. The last one was convert the chances. That was another letdown for me, honestly, Nate. I thought Derek, who had a tough first half because he was struggling to get service. I mean, the whole shift he put in, he was trying to find ways to get the ball, but we weren't really getting it into him. We were kind of choosing to go to Josue a little bit more when Derek might have been the best option. So guys not figuring out how to play with that second striker up top, maybe part of the growing pains of the 3-5-2. But there was that miss he had, which was good goalkeeping. But then Josue missed another wide open header in the early stages of the second half, which I think would have opened things up. That's his third in 2 games. So you look for him to try to hit the training pitch on that one. But the positive here were that the game changers who came on, and Nils and Adam King, from an attacking perspective, changed the complexity of the game in our favor. And they did combine and convert their only chance. And it ended up being, it wasn't a total wash, it ended up being our game winner. So good stuff there. So they don't ask us how, they ask how many, and we got all 3 on the day. And we will move on to the next challenge. But good first win in a very foul-heavy game. They had the date changed last minute, but good win for Coach Prunty.
So here's a question, and you may not be in a position to answer, but like as guys start to
Ask
come
John
back,
anything? When we bring it back.
Yep. As guys start to come back or finish coming back from college, and as we get the entirety of what is the fully envisioned MC2 roster, knowing that we're not seeing these teams twice, right? You play every team once in this league. Isn't that true?
Yes. You play everybody once.
Right. And sometimes you play at home, sometimes you play away. Like there's no opportunity to make adjustments on the second go around on the reverse fixture. So like as you start to see the trends in the league and how the play goes, and we'll talk a little bit more about this when we talk about the upcoming match against the Brooklyn Knights, but as you start to see these trends, you got to start identifying guys that just aren't as effective as you thought they would be in the UPSL, right? Or especially in our league, and swap them out.
I mean, it's early to tell, but part of the focus of City 2 is, yes, we want to win the conference and win a trophy and try to make a deep run in the playoffs. But also it is development, Nate. So we're trying to also battle test these guys for when they level up to replace guys on the NPSL team. So, and we know the NPSL North is a physical conference. So it's actually a benefit to these guys that maybe are a little smaller in stature or not used to that physicality at whatever college level they play at, for them to not only grow themselves, but also be tested against that for when they do get elevated.
So if you can make the Minneapolis City system work, no matter how big or small or however you fit into the system, if you can make the Minneapolis City system work at the UPSL level and the physicality there, the expectation is that you're able to take that even further, because when you get to the NPSL, you're playing against Duluth.
Right. And then when you go back to your school, you're facing a guy that's not, as physical or as maybe both physicality standpoint and there's just sort of physical makeup, just being bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
You're going to dominate. So it's good for these players to be exposed to it, in my opinion.
Nice. Well, earlier in the weekend, before MC2 finally got to the game with FC Minneapolis, City kicked off the home season back at the Nelly. And that was on Friday night. And I'm going to say what a return it was, John, for the fans, for the players, for the staff, for the booth. That's right, baby. It's just a great overall experience that would have made me feel bad for Dakota if the whole night wasn't so damn fun. Like, like by the end, you're just like, oh, okay, another one. These guys must be miserable, but too bad. This is great. Talk us through who was there for Minneapolis City for the NPSL team.
Sure. From a starting perspective, we had Matt Elder in goal coming off of a shutout, so it's kind of hard to make a replacement there. Charlie Adams, Jonah Garcia, Jack Berry, and Matt Murakami anchored the back line. In front of them, Steve Smith with Max Stegward, and then Lionel Vang making the start in place of an unavailable Arthur Perrins from the who started there the first match. And then your front three was the same in Oliver, Wilkid, and Mito Youssef. So Mew making his home debut. You got Jack Berry making his full-time debut. Lionel Vang returning and getting his first full start with the City NPSL team. So, a lot of the same faces that featured, except a couple new ones. And from a sub perspective, we had Troy, Dom, Gatto, Cole Schwartz made the jump up from City 2, Mark Bokeen, and Miles Stockman Willis. So you pretty much had the same subs available for that match.
So John, a couple questions going into this night, right? Wanting to know just how competitive is Dakota going to be. They were coming off of a 4-1 defeat at Joy of the People, right? Which is interesting considering Joy's expansion and brand new league. So we were kind of balancing that against how Minneapolis City was going to react after what was really a challenging but still successful road trip to Sioux Falls. Like, is Dakota going to figure it out and build on some of those positives from the week before? Is City's class gonna prove to be too much? And I think it's easy to say now after the game, but like those were actual questions going into last week.
Well, we never know what Dakota's going to put on the field.
Yeah, especially.
You know what I mean?
They're kind of out of our purview.
Yeah, but then what we saw was a different story. And I'll reference a tweet that I saw after you get done.
Yeah. So Dakota, we had, after losing to Joy Athletic, they came out a little bit more conservatively against Minneapolis City. You gotta assume that was a sign of respect, but also they just wanted to make sure their shit was in order, so that they didn't get stomped on super early in the match like they did against Joy.
Right.
Their back line looked less mistake prone, and I feel like the game would have gone a little better for them if only the forward could have managed to be less mistake prone as well.
Yes.
We saw Dakota's only week 1 bright spot, who is that guy Pike. He pulled 2 yellows in a matter of minutes. I think his first yellow was at, the 17th minute, his second yellow in the 27th minute. Like, it was really right one on top of each other.
Yeah.
His second coming shortly after Max Siegert finds the lower left corner of the net from distance and through traffic. So, his team is already down 1-0. They're pressing their, he comes up and basically bowls, who was it, Steve or someone, over Max from behind.
Midu.
Midu sandwiches him between a defender. I don't know if that was a second yellow, but it was definitely a foul. And I think after, fouls coming so fast and furious, maybe it was deserved, but that ref was fairly yellow happy. So I'm not going to, it benefited us. I'm not going to complain, but there were a lot of fouls in the early part of that game.
Yeah, a little bit on the yellow card. So the first one was an accumulation of fouls. So he was already on like a persistent infringement type yellow card. And on the broadcast,
where he's pointing at all these different spots. This is for there, this is for there, this is for there.
Yep. Starts counting on his hand like a toddler. But I mentioned on the broadcast why I thought it was such a bad foul wasn't like the malice in it. So I want to correct some rumors here. It wasn't the malice in it. The reason why I thought it was a bad foul by Pike was because he was chasing down Midu from behind, who was already engaged by a different defender. So the guy, someone was already guarding him and trying to defend him. And then this guy comes like a bat out of hell and just clumsily bowls him over from behind.
From behind.
If he's not already been told you've already fouled people 3 times and I've given you a yellow for it, it's probably not even, it's probably just a foul and not a yellow card.
Yeah.
But Pike played himself right into this, and it's not our fault that happened, and we're facing another 10-man side in the first half. But I thought it was warranted by the ref. I think that they made the right call there, and that was dumb. It was really dumb. If I were his coach, I'd be pretty pissed off.
Yeah, really dumb. And so again, City's able to flex against a 10-man team, and so without their number 24 down a man, City could attack basically without fear of retaliation. Like no one else on that side really had proven that they were dangerous, right? So and like attack they did. Like, holy crap, here comes Minneapolis City, man. Already up 1-0 at the half. Another long distance goal from Max was awesome, but then that's followed by braces from Midu and Lionel Vang, topped off by a little nightcap from Gatto. And that meant another City win. And I think there's a few things to talk about in this one, John, from a Minneapolis City standpoint. The first is, we had kind of, last week I was amazed at how interchangeable the front three were when we were talking through a little bit about what we looked like in the Karen match and how we performed against Sioux Falls. Like this idea that, holy crap, you've got Midu and Will and Justin who can swap sides of the field. All of a sudden, Justin's a striker. All of a sudden, Will's a striker. Now it's like, forget that, man. The front four was all over the place against this Dakota team. And that is got to be super hard for teams to plan against.
Yeah, it's super hard. But the one thing that I take out of this is we had traditionally gotten a ton of production out of our number 10 spot. And that's not to downplay what Martin did when Martin was there, because he was absolutely fantastic. But he's not your traditional 10.
No.
We didn't really have production out of that spot until Eli caught lightning in a bottle 2 years ago. So and then we rode that right into the last 4 games of the season. He was kind of like our focal point offensively, whether he was passing or scoring. But now with Lionel, and even I won't discredit what Arthur did in the first game against Sioux Falls. He's the same type of player, but he's a little more physical than Lionel is. But you're right. Like it's like we talked about in City too. Like you have a certain type of player that's beating you down for X amount of minutes, and you never know who it's going to be, and your head's spinning on who you have to guard. And then all of a sudden, like a guy
it's someone totally different.
Equal, and like then they make a sub, and then it's a guy who's equally as good, if not better. And you're like, Jesus Christ. So yeah, it's definitely a benefit this year for sure.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about how interchangeable they are, it's like they can pick out their matchups if one of them, if they as a group or somehow through some chatter on the field, like if they can identify that so and so is that like Will is better against their right back, then Will moves, and if the right back moves, then Will moves with the right back, and everyone else is just as effective in their new spots. So that it's just so weird and wild and amazing to see. The second thing I want to talk about is, of course, an exciting day for Lionel Vang. Obviously Midu as well. Both of these guys who did a majority of the goal scoring, really blowing up in their debuts with the first team or with the NPSL team at the Nelly. Midu 2 goals, 1 assist. Lionel 2 amazing goals and a lot of really good action on the ball, which was impressive to me because he has really improved over the last time we saw him, which is, I don't know, late 2019 when he was kind of getting the call up from the U23 team. And it was like, oh, this is just a kid on the field that the guys want to give minutes to. Now it's like, this is a kid on the field that can change the game.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing about Lionel, I think the difference between where he was last and where he is now, that final full year of college where he wanted to showcase how good he actually is, and he leveled up, was the conference player of the year in the MIAC that in his senior year. But I think he started taking the game a little bit more seriously, and not to say he wasn't in the past, but in the past he was just going by skill only. And I think he really dedicated himself to the sport his senior year and tried to make a run at being a professional, and was on some very good extended trials in the USL, and it just didn't quite click because of COVID, and that kind of ruined what we know with college recruiting, but also professional recruiting too. You're not going to come out of a pandemic and take a flyer on a guy where you could sign a veteran who's looking for a job. So, he showed that he belonged in some of those places. And, somebody might wonder, like, against Karen, he played out wide and didn't really do a ton. Against Sioux Falls, he came off the bench, and then he starts. Like, why hasn't this guy been playing all along? And I think that goes back to it's not anything Lionel did or didn't do. It's more of the matchups we can play.
Yeah, it's the circumstance of the game, and
yeah,
absolutely.
And it also shows the total buy-in of the team. The guys that like Lionel, who clearly is good at his job and performed in the start and nearly missed a hat trick. It just shows that it's all about winning. And if he has to come off the bench, he'll come off the bench. If he has to start, he'll start. He'll do his job.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, John, before we get to analyzing how we did the keys for victory, any final thoughts on this game?
I mean, not a ton. I mean, it's hard to say. Going, obviously you play 10 men, and it's all the questions start flying out about that. But I think that overall, like, it just showed what our team offers this year, and I'm glad it happened in the first game. I'm glad we didn't fall into the trap, which we'll talk about here in the keys to victory. But I thought every guy who came in performed, whether you started or you didn't.
That's cool. So, keys to victory, John. We outlined them last week. How did we do this week?
Oh, the first one was dial it in from the first whistle, and we talked about the city slow start. I felt that it was a bit slow, but it wasn't the patented city slow start. Like from the get go, I think that the front 6 players, they weren't necessarily connecting as much. I mean, you can say in the second half they were like firing on all cylinders, but they had a man advantage, so I get that.
Yeah.
But there was some kind of errant passes in some semi-dangerous spots, even when it was full strength. And then when it was a man advantage, there were 3 good chances, though, one each from our front 3 and Oliver, Youssef, and Kidd. But I thought like it was still a slow start from what we could see happen in the second half. The main positive from the first whistle, I thought, was the play of the back line. Charlie, Adams, Jack Berry, Jonah, and Matt Murakami. Those guys were locked in from the beginning, and they gave Fusion nothing, even when they were full strength.
Yeah, it was definitely good to see Charlie back there. You know, it's always funny to see how versatile he is and where he ends up. Like in 2019, he was defensive midfielder quite often, but it's nice to see him back at his outside back position where he can deploy the Chazzle Dazzle.
Dude, he did one dazzle. He
did. He gave us a dazzle. I love it.
And if you watch back, because he does it in practice all the time, and then if I'm there, I always make some joke asking if it was a half dazzle or a full dazzle, and when he did it, he looked up towards the camera and he gave the one finger. It was just a half dazzle. Just one dazzle.
Just one dazzle.
Just
That's
one
so
dazzle.
funny.
So keep track of that little Easter egg next home game. So yeah, I thought we did okay. I thought Matt Elder had nothing of substance to worry about until one chance in the second half.
Yeah, made a great save.
From the get-go, I thought our defense was stellar. Number 2, the introduction of some new faces. We pretty much nailed that one. I mean, Midu making his home debut, capping off a great week for him with 2 goals as well, and an assist on the day. That's a pretty good day.
Not bad.
And that's also on the back of his 1 goal, 1 assist performance in Sioux Falls. So he had a nice little 3-goal, 2 assist last 2 games. But I thought Jack Berry was very impressive, partnering with Jonah Garcia. Almost got on the other end of his own goal party off a set piece.
He did. That's so close.
And then, although we mentioned Lionel isn't really new, making his first full NPSL start, he got his brace. Oh, and Gato, Javier Juarez, first appearance with us, chips in on and gets his own. So I will say, though, Nate, that from a statement perspective to the league, it's pretty hard to put, like we were saying before, that 60 to 70 minutes in and working your ass off, and you're not getting subbed out because there's no one else to go in for you, or the coach doesn't want to drop down in talent with what we're throwing at them.
Yeah.
And then City goes and drops 5-6 men deep on the bench, and it doesn't miss a beat. Maybe even adds more to it because you can change things up, and it's difficult. And
just like the Beat Nuts Classic, John, no escaping this.
No escaping this. I mean, it's what we've tried to build, and hopefully it's going to pan out. As we really want to make a run at a 3rd league title, and then hopefully maybe something in the playoffs. Number 3, final one. Will the proper pitch be the difference? Clearly, it was. Red card aside, and honestly, I'm kind of tired of reading about like how we can't beat a full strength team.
We just haven't. It's not that we can't.
Right. None of the City goals, in my opinion, came from positions where an extra player on the field would have done anything, like directly. Every goal we scored was like through traffic, and it was like a well-placed shot, a penalty. The capper by Midu, he was guarded by 2 players. So I don't honestly think that even the 10-man advantage for us would have done anything differently. Maybe not 6 goals, but it still would have been a victory in my opinion. But this week you got to see like the true style that Coach Van Benskoen wants to play and has trained in for months. Like keeping the ball on the surface, this time a proper surface. It accommodated for it, and it was attractive, fun soccer to watch, and it produced 6 goals.
So attractive. Well, while it's way too early to tell who, I think we're still trying to figure out if anyone is going to be taking a swipe at Minneapolis City. One thing we are taking a look at also in this NPSL North narrative is who's who's taking a swipe at our next opponent when it comes to the perennial free space in the NPSL North? And I'm talking, of course.
Yeah, I was gonna reference a tweet someone wrote and it was like, serious question, ... Is Dakota Fusion the new Eris?
Yes.
And I'm like, I saw it and I was like, it's someone who follows our league. But then I was like, how come no one's responded to it? Like no one wanted to be like, yep. Or
that's because it's kind of mean,
mm-hmm.
But also it's also kind of true. Like, for how many years has Eris, who is, by the way, our next opponent, now that we're in the Eris preview portion of the show, how many years has Eris been, like I said, the free space, the one that you basically can pencil in as 6 points on your schedule, no matter what? Couple years in a row, they were lucky enough to be able to pull, like a draw off of somebody,
Mm-hmm.
that was fairly weak. One year they had to use gamesmanship to get the draw off of us, which was kind of insane, but also at least good for them, right? And now it's like, we're looking at a team that's been able to pull some points competitively over the last couple of years, where Dakota has not. So while I won't say that Eris is like the new hot thing in the NPSL North, Eris is suddenly not a free 3 points.
Yeah, we talked about it before. They've been trying to level up for the past 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. And last year was their best season, I think, mathematically, statistically speaking.
Yeah, they got the win. They got 2 wins.
Yeah. So I think that attracts the players that are of quality to come back to the organization, right? It's like, we're not losing every game. Like, we actually ended on a good streak. And exactly. It'll help keep guys in that area instead of maybe going to some of the other options that are out there now.
Yeah. So last week, John, Eris visited Joy Athletic, and we'll talk a little bit more about this as we do the spin around of the action in the NPSL North from the week. But they visit Joy Athletic in St. Louis Park, and they were able to snag a quick, I guess a last ditch one point. They snatched a draw from the jaws of defeat against Joy, and I think there are some players worth noting on that Eris team that City might want to keep an eye on. While they don't have talent all over the field, I think there are going to be guys that might cause matchup problems. And of course, the first one of those guys is their number 11. Now, I was checking the Eris website. It's not great. I was trying to see if maybe the NPSL website had someone to help me, but of course they don't. The players are listed, but their numbers are not. So I'm just going to call guys by their numbers. So this guy number 11, he was the winger in this Joy Athletic game, and he played the full 90, and he was the only one that seemed at all threatening throughout the game, right? He was the one that was getting shots off. He was the one that was up and down the field, attacking and defending at the same time. And so I would say, look for number 11, because he was the one that scored the first goal in extra time, or in the 90th minute, I guess, to make sure that Eris got the draw out of this one. The other guy to keep an eye on is the guy that scored the second goal, their captain, number 9, another guy that went full 90 and at a midfield position. That's good to do. It's tough to do.
Let's just say this, Nate. They only had 15 players. So
right.
I think almost everybody went the full 90.
That's true. And they played hard, right? So that's something to say, like you said, it's tough to do. So that midfield number 9, he scores the tying goal off that bad giveaway. Other bright spots on this Eris team to watch, their defensive mid number 25, not afraid to get stuck in, but also not super in control of his body. He went to ground a number of times on slide tackles that did not connect, but at least he's coming in. And of course, center back number 5, he handled, I would say, Joy's top player, their left winger, Emmanuel Iwe, handled him really well early until Iwe beat a number of guys on an individual effort to score his goal. But I will say this: Eris is still Eris, and they've got a lot of youth and a lot of inexperience on the pitch. That includes one of the smallest defenders I've ever seen play the position. So if City can pick their matchups like we've talked about already, which they can, and continue to shift players around the pitch with that same fluidity that they did against Dakota, they're gonna find a number of chances to put something past what I would consider a much improved Harris goalkeeper. And I think it's the same guy.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that change came at the end of 2019. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about the league spin around here, so I won't get into too much detail. But yeah, I think the numbers you picked out were all the ones that I made note of mentally, and they fought hard, and it's I'll wait to give my full,
we got to talk about this game in a little bit anyway. So
yeah,
got some time.
Yep.
So I don't know. Away at Eris might see a bit of gamesmanship again. You never know what happens, but they are. This is a team that feels like they deserve points in this league, and they're doing everything they can from a personnel level, from a effort on the field level, and an effort off the field level to make sure they're securing some points.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just found out we're not playing at the original place we're supposed to play at for the second week in a road week in a row.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, from a keys to victory perspective, I think number one is, you mentioned it, we have to kill their momentum. I mean, coming off what is a great draw for them away at Joy last week, which saw them Joy completely fall apart defensively in stoppage time with giving up 2 goals. Excuse me. It's our job to come to Eris and from the first whistle on the road, show them that we don't care what happened last week and that we just care about this week's job. So,
yeah.
So kill them off early. I think number 2 kind of goes into the gamesmanship piece. Don't get frustrated. In 2018, the still yet undefeated Minneapolis City team that dropped 2 points in this exact game. Looking past this team a little bit, fell into the traps. Another bad field, no ball kids. They could lump the ball out of bounds every time they got it, and just bunkering down, lots of fouls. Pretty much everything you can do to slow a team down, and it worked. It got Minneapolis City out of their plan, out of their heads, out of the focus, and then had to scrap to get the point at the late stages of the second half. So Don't get frustrated. Like, if that stuff happens, it's like do the job and then worry about making fun of that stuff later after you come away with 3 points. Number 3, return of 2 old faces. Some names that will ring a bell for City fans are making their return to the club this week. Center back Max Kent will be making his return to the club this week.
The sweatiest man in Minneapolis City history?
Yes. Just the sponge himself, Max Kent. And winger Kevin Andrews. Both guys gained valuable experience once they were away from us. If you remember, Max blew out his knee away at what was it, Med City, and he hasn't featured with us for a full season as a result of that. So he got fully rehabbed, left McAllister, did his graduate year of eligibility at Syracuse University and played on the Division I team there. And then Kevin was playing in a professional academy in Portugal and elevated the ranks there. So they both added massive depth again to our already deep roster. But they're 2 totally different players, on top of how impressive they were when they left us to where they are now. So I'm super excited to hopefully get to see them this week.
That's really going to be cool to see. It's going to be great to see Max again. And I mean, if he's improved, how awesome is that? Because he was pretty good when he left us. And then, Kevin, who knows? Like, that kid left, an 18-year-old recent high school graduate, basically, to go to Portugal. Didn't speak the language, just full of soccer skill. I mean, 2 years, because they didn't stop playing. So 2 years, and I wonder what that guy's looked like. What that guy looks like now. That's gonna be really exciting.
Yep, he was last seen leaving some Med City players on the deck in the playoff game.
So next match, John, as we move on to MC2, the next match for City 2 will be back in the friendly confines of the Nelly this Saturday, May 22nd at 6 p.m. We're going to welcome the Brooklyn Knights to town. I'm going to assume they're from Brooklyn Park or something, right? Brooklyn Center.
Yeah, not New York.
That's good. That would have been a long drive for them.
Even the UPSL won't consider New York Brooklyn and or
Not
Rochester.
in our region. New York is not in our region.
Yeah, just not. It's in the East Coast. If you have to take a plane there as your direct line of as the crow flies from Minneapolis there, they are not in our region. So yes, another week of somewhat mystery, Nate, of which, the revolving door of which UPSL team are we going to be facing this week. But for the season, the Brooklyn Knights are definitely a mystery. We only get them once. They originated out of the old APL that saw them join teams like Granite City, FC Minneapolis, who we played last week. But then they all kind of switched over to be founding members of this new UPSL division 3 years ago. So they have players that can play. Along with teams like Granite City, they basically swabbed up the talent that was mostly in-town talent from the Twin Stars folding. So you're gonna see some familiar faces and names, on their team sheet. They can play, man. Many of the players also have been together playing for years in the local African League, in the cities against teams like Barai FC, whom the U23 team played 2 years ago in a home and away. So they see each other on a weekly basis, whether they're playing there or they're playing for Brooklyn Knights. Currently, the Knights sit on top of the table with 7 points, with a game in hand on the Crows. And that came by way of a 1-1 tie to start the campaign against FC Minneapolis, who we beat 2-1 this past weekend. And then they disposed of the Dakota Young Stars on the road, so they showed they can travel. So they were travel tested. And then finally a 3-2 win victory over Rochester FC. So what you can expect from this one, Nate, is these guys are super strong individually, both physically in their hold-up play, but also like they can beat you one-on-one in those individual battles. And they make really good off-the-ball runs. So they're very active, which is something that we haven't really seen yet so far. We've kind of seen more direct to a lone striker. But what you can also expect, Nate, is more of the same, challenges that have substance in them, we'll say. And that direct play, I mean, they can combine. I've seen them play. They're very capable of doing that, but with the active, front 2-3 that they deploy on any given time, they can go direct to more than one guy, as opposed to like what I said, we were seeing just a lone striker up there, easy to dispose of. So that's what you're going to see. We'll have to find out after the fact who was all there, and then we'll be doing the broadcast retroactively again to get that up online for people to see. But definitely you can come on down to the Nelly and see it live in action if you're not going to Wisconsin. But
you should.
You should. Totally should. So keys to victory.
Real quick, a question on this, John, is like, when you say that like they've picked up and they've worked with other teams to pick up, or worked, I shouldn't say with them, but along with other teams have picked up some of the Twin Stars players, those players are like notoriously super physical and easily and like red cardable, right? Like when you think about what the Twin Stars are famous for in the Minneapolis City lore, it's obviously technical difficulties, but it's the stomping and the biting and the truly insane hot-headed shit that happens that has happened over the years.
Yes, but what else can they do? They can play. Like
they can. We have been beat by the Twin Stars quite a bit.
They may go into a challenge without being able to control their body, but with the ball on their foot, they know what to do with it. So it'll be something similar to what we've seen. Maybe a little bit lesser. I don't think you're gonna maybe see a Darbaki out there. Maybe not. But he was a fantastic player and a hard one for us to always defend. But I don't think you're going to see him on that roster. But you're going to see the other guys that he played with that, like we said, all can play. So from a keys perspective for victory this week, I think number one goes without any surprise. It's avoiding the slow start. We're in week 3. Another week should help. But I look at some of the more veteran players, guys that have either they're new faces that had, bigger experience that are coming in for the first time, whether it's the guys with big college experience, it's the guys that have been around for 2, 3, maybe 4 years. Just kind of taking the reins over and being like, let's get after it. And I know Coach Prunty's going to charge up the boys because we're going against the team that sits in first place. So I just would like to see a little more fire. So avoid that slow start. Number 2, another one that's not a surprise, got to find the goals. There are some guys coming into the fray that I know over the next week or two that will definitely help. But I think a fire needs to kind of be lit with the attacking group currently to get angry and get hungry and like get super active and just get annoyed by the fact that we're not scoring 2-3 goals a game when we're creating 10 chances. So I like, or we get them a slump buster, whatever we got to do to light up that score sheet in game 3. So we got to find those goals. And then the last one is stay patient-ish. So I absolutely don't want this team to go away and ditch the plans of what they've been working on, because when that shit clicks, it pops, man. It's really attracting awesome soccer to watch. Very similar to what you saw on Friday with the NPSL team. But what I'd like to see is maybe the guys varying up the ways in which they attack. So there's always a time and a place to choose to attack, maybe go direct, maybe, attack with numbers, whatever it may be. But if we're seeing our possession sequences kind of interrupted by persistent fouling and like the every 5-10 minute stoppages where we can't get into that flow, I think that we need to move the ball quicker and maybe very, very up without being direct, instead of, forcing that ball in, but just very up where we're going with our attack. And what that'll do is, with the ball doing the movement, it'll protect our guys because it obviously will be off their foot, in a more physical game, which we've kind of been slow to figure out. But if it's done correctly, it's very confusing to an opposition that's like never knowing where the ball is going to be moving. And it almost feels like a man advantage or a man disadvantage because you match up 1-to-1, but you just can't stop it. So I'd like to see a little bit more varying up the ways at which we try to go forward, on top of the stuff that's already working. And hopefully that'll lead to more chances and more goals.
Sure. So to your second point, John, I think like we've seen that exciting attack flash a couple of times. When I think back to when we were at home and we saw was it Cole Schwartz and Scotty Heinen when they came in, and it was just like, oh shit, there's the energy we were looking for. Like what an amazing attack those guys brought when we brought them in. We just got to find that energy with any combination of whoever Prunty puts out there.
Yep,
all
absolutely. I mean, you saw the emergence of Adam King and Mills scoring on their only chance. Maybe it's a little bit more we see this week. But the first match day versus Inter at home was so awesome. You need to get out. You need to get out to this one. Nate will be on the PA with his sweet playlist. With the NPSL in Wisconsin, no Minnesota United game this week. This is must watch, people. Like it's your live soccer experience for a fraction of the price. So get on out to the Nelly Saturday, May 22nd. First kick is at 6. Head on over to mplscitysc.com, smash on the shop button, hit tickets, boom, there you go. And don't forget, both teams this year, 2021 is a cashless experience at all home matches. So don't sleep on your tickets and walk up with a $5. You're not going to get in.
Nope, you'll have to scan that QR code and buy it via your, Venmo or something. I don't know what the kids do. All right, so real quick, we gotta whip through this spin around. The action is finally ramping up around the NPSL North. There were 2 other games this weekend. That leaves Duluth as the only team yet to play a game. Wonder how they worked that out and why. But let's take a spin around.
You're gonna have to go Wednesday, Saturday games the rest of the summer.
The rest of the season. Wednesday, Saturday. Good luck.
2 games a week. That's tough, but if you can get your guys trained in and ready to go physically for that, I mean, have at it.
Here we go. Well, let's see what's going around what happened around the rest of the NPSL North this last weekend. The first game we want to talk about is one that we already touched on, and that's Joy versus Eris. Eris visits Joy Athletic out in St. Louis Park, and it looks like it was the same Eris we expected, right? They had some bright spots early, but for 90 minutes, it looked like Whitney Brown, Emmanuel Iwe, and the Joy of the People squad had Eris figured out. Eris never really had that many never had a dangerous shot on goal. I don't remember from being there and watching. Do you remember from the tape, John?
They had a couple half chances where like the final ball let them down. But what they were setting up is how they scored their first goal. Which I'll let you get to, and then I'll drop in what I was going to say.
Sure. So down 2-0, clock ticking. This Eris team, they didn't give up. They found 2 goals in stoppage time against what looked like a really tired and inexperienced Joy Athletic team in the last 2-3 minutes of the game to snatch an away point from the jaws of defeat. Like I mentioned, number 11 scores that first goal in a nice individual effort. Basically beats 2 or 3 defenders all by himself, and then just fatigue showed, bad giveaway, and their captain, number 9, was able to basically just get the ball passed to him by the Joy defense, and was in 1-1 against the keeper for what was basically the goal at the whistle. So super disappointing loss for Joy, who had such a strong start against Sioux Falls. Really encouraging draw for Eris, who is hoping, like I said, to pull more points out of the season.
Yeah, I think my main takeaway from watching that one was you mentioned like the tired defense, and what I was kind of talking about on Eris's whole first half, they were kind of figuring out the one area they could attack from. And it didn't materialize until the middle of the second half that it was to attack down the left side, which is where their first goal came from. And the tired piece is that as Joy was kind of tiring themselves out a little bit by having so much of the ball, what it was doing is Eris was doing just a good enough job to keep the back line pinned back a little bit, where there was creating a large gap in between the 3 midfielders for Joy that were happily on the ball for a bunch of time, trying to get into their front 3 or their attackers. But that gap started getting larger and larger. And then when number 11 picked up the ball, he had about 25, 30 yards of momentum going because the Joy defender was tired and didn't step right away, or was told not to.
Yep.
And not to press. And the guy just turned, picked it up. The whole build up for almost an entire half was for that moment. And he drove at the guy, made a cut. I thought well-placed shot. I think the goalie was screened because he dove. He made the right decision, but he was just a half second too late. Nice curling ball in the back of the net. But then at that point, it's like, why keep the ball if you're Joy? That's where you're kicking the ball into the railroad tracks every time you get it.
Yeah.
Like you've been scored on in stoppage time. And now, I mean, any way will do, right? Like whatever you got to do.
Whatever you got to do to kill the time.
Yeah. And I believe the second goal came off of, was it a corner kick that then went back, got cleared out, and then the subsequent ball back in, I think. Whatever it was, the ball kind of bounced around a little bit, and then the Joy player just didn't get a full clearance on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was bad. It looked like he was trying to just kind of boot it for. Looked like he was trying to. It was hard to tell because you never know Joy. Like you said, they're a club all about maintaining possession and not about just booting it as hard as they can. So it's hard to say if it was a matter of the kid
trying to find somebody.
He could find someone in midfield and get a penetrating pass forward, or it was a poorly hit clearance. But I would probably err on the side of the first, because it looked like it didn't really leave the deck. It just it
didn't go far because the ball
didn't go far,
scored,
didn't go high.
Yeah.
The went right to number 9, and he did not mess around. Second game on the weekend was, I think, really interesting to me, and I think really encouraging when it comes to Minneapolis City's prospects for how we're going to do in the league. And that was Med City's debut against Sioux Falls Thunder. And John, Sioux Falls came out of the gates like firing, man. The guy that we had talked about that was kind of the mystery man that we didn't know if he would be any good or what kind of a player he would be. Stevenson Storm, the product of the Haitian Developmental Academy, scores 2 goals in the first 10 minutes. First in the 4th, second in the 10th, and all of a sudden, holy shit! This Dakota team or this Sioux Falls team has some offense, right?
Dude, the guy rattled a bar too. He almost had 3 goals in the first 15 minutes.
Amazing. So look out, world! Here comes Stevenson Storm.
And you look at it like they didn't have, Haggerty because he was on suspension, and they dropped Well, the reason why Storm was able to get on the field was because they dropped Limmer back into the central midfield, and then they put Storm on
to cover Haggerty's spot.
Yeah, but here's the thing: in this 4-3 goal fest that was a defensive stalemate, essentially, like what it showed with Med City was that like they do have a lot of their front 6 is good, but they lack the depth they've had in certain years, and that could be a COVID thing, not being able to maybe house some of the guys from out of state, and they're having to have more guys that are closer into town. Maybe a little drop down there, but still, like everything for Sioux Falls went long, and Dakota couldn't handle it. Like that Stevenson Storm, just like he literally
Med City couldn't handle it. You mean?
I'm sorry, Med City couldn't handle it, and then you could see like where they finally were like, okay, we can figure out how to at least attack at this. They couldn't defend it even in later stages of the game. The ball was constantly on the other end. And if not, it was pumped right back into it. So they were out on their heels. But what they figured out was how to counter it and hopefully outgun Sioux Falls. And that's what happened.
So historically, John, I mean, almost every team except Duluth plays Minneapolis City, holding on a little tighter, right? Crunching their butt cheeks a little tighter than they would any other team. So it's not to say that you can expect Med City to give up 4 goals against Minneapolis City, but it is encouraging to know that like this is not the team that looks to be as competitive as they have been years past. And I think a lot of that
at least
we can attribute to the pandemic. But it's definitely going to be to Minneapolis City's benefit if Dakota continues to give up, 3-4 goals a week.
I mean, a Joy tie, a Med City potential loss or tie, and then maybe a Joy Duluth draw this weekend. That would have been a huge way to start the season for Minneapolis
Exactly.
City.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's all we got for this week's show, folks. A little bit longer, a lot to get through. But thank you to our new show sponsor, footballstadiumprints.com. We are all in a lot of video calls these days. And while any of those calls, Nate, have you ever seen a coworker drinking out of just a rank-ass looking coffee mug? Like one without a cool design, just stains all over. It's like gray. It should be white.
Like they stole it from The Office. It's just like the worst.
Looks totally undrinkable. Like it's probably had ramen in it. I mean, it's just not, it's not desirable. Well, you are in luck. You can head on over to footballstadiumprints.com and just browse the litany of awesome looking stadium designs and get yourself a print on a mug where you'll be it'll instantly cool up your next conference call. This includes one of the home of the Crows, Edor Nelson Field print, and many others. And what's better, City fans can head on over to footballstadiumprints.com, check out the new Edor Nelson shirt and print designs, get a mug, and use the code CROWS10 to save 10% off your orders. That's CROWS10, and you can rock the home of the Crows on a whole bunch of stuff. One thing to note, Nate, thank you again to our friends at footballstadiumprints.com. I was told this week that by our main man over there that not one person has used the code yet.
What?
So, yeah. So come on, people. Like,
get up there and use Crows 10.
Go buy some shit. Like support our sponsor. Support someone in lower league soccer trying to make a buck. If giving back to the community means a lot to you, then you're clearly have money to spend because you're not buying some of the football stadium prints. Maybe it's time to give the club that loves to give back. Minneapolis City is a 501c3 that provides a safe, reliable, and fun environment for young people to play the beautiful game, like our upcoming summer camps, as well as through our future scholarship fund. Consider a tax-deductible donation to a truly city-focused organization. I got it right. Didn't say focused.
Not this time.
This season is in full swing, and I'm sure you have questions maybe about a new player, what a story is, maybe some insights you want Nate and I to dive into on a particular match.
Why do both the Oliver brothers get head injuries all the time?
Yeah, why is one not playing with us and playing for Med City this year? We can cover all that. Hit us up with mail. It's easy to do. You can first check us out on Twitter at The People's Pitch or through email, mcscpodcast@gmail.com. All questions, comments, and concerns are welcome. And finally, you can always complain to the club on Twitter. Dan loves it, at MPLS City SC. Thank you for joining us this week as that does it. I am John. That was Old Ironsides, Nate Morales. Another week, another 6 points the club is looking to hunt down. And if you're not making the trip to Wisconsin, again, make sure you're checking out, getting your soccer fix, your live soccer fix with City 2 at the Nelly, Edor Nelson Field, Saturday at 6 p.m. Be there or you got hoofed. Or hope.
What is it? Old Ironsides even?